Zila belonged to the Vexari race, tall, slender beings with iridescent skin and superior technology. They had conquered 12 systems before discovering Earth. The Vexari High Command had expected another easy victory. They were wrong. Zila had been a young lieutenant, then eager to prove herself in battle. Her squad was sent to what humans called North America to gather intelligence before the main invasion. Her first mission to a human settlement changed everything. The human settlement was in a region called Montana, small and isolated, perfect for observation. The 5 Vexari soldiers, including Zila, landed their cloaked ship in a dense forest and approached on foot. Their advanced armor made them nearly invisible to human detection. The team leader Krell was overconfident. This species was primitive compared to the Vexari. The humans had only recently achieved basic spaceflight and still fought with projectile weapons. The squad moved with minimal caution. Krell ordered them to position themselves around the settlement to observe the inhabitants for 3 days. They would study human behavior, communication, and defenses before returning to the fleet with their report. Zila was assigned to watch from the northern ridge. She found a good position among large rocks overlooking the settlement. From her vantage point, she could see several human dwellings and the creatures moving about their daily tasks. She was fascinated by their diversity. Unlike the Vexari, who all shared similar violet skin and white hair, humans came in many colors and shapes. Zila watched a female human with light brown hair tending to plants outside her dwelling. The human sang softly while she worked. Zila recorded the sounds and movements for her report. She found herself curious about this species despite knowing they would soon be conquered. The first day passed without incident. Zila observed human vehicles moving along dirt paths. She watched small humans she later learned were called children playing outside a larger building. She noticed how the adults protected these young ones, staying close and watching carefully. At night, the settlement became quiet, except for artificial lights that glowed from windows Zila used her advanced vision to continue observations, noting how humans spent their evening hours. The species seemed to enjoy gathering in small groups. Laughter often drifted up to her position. Zila found herself drawn to one particular dwelling where the brown-haired human lived. This human moved with grace and seemed to be respected by others in the settlement. Humans visited her throughout the day, bringing items and engaging in lengthy conversations. On the second day, Zila noticed something unusual. The brown-haired human had disappeared. Another human had arrived at the dwelling. This one had dark hair cut short and moved with a purpose. Unlike the casual movements of other humans, Zila observed. The newcomer carried something long and slender, entering the dwelling quickly. Zila zoomed her vision to see better. The newcomer wore clothing different from other humans, something more uniform with patterns that blended with the environment. This human moved differently too, always alert, scanning surroundings before moving. Even the way this human walked reminded Zila of warriors from her own world. That night, Zila contacted her team over their secure channel, but received no response from Krell or the others. This was unusual, but not concerning. The dense forest and mineral deposits in the mountains sometimes interfered with their communications. She would continue her mission and reconnect at the rendezvous point. Dawn of the third day brought an unsettling discovery. Zila scanned for her teammates' vital signs through her armor interface. She detected only 3 faint signals where there should have been 4. Something was wrong. She prepared to investigate when she noticed movement at the human dwelling. The dark-haired human emerged, carrying the long object. Zila now recognized it as a weapon, a primitive projectile launcher. The human walked with confidence, scanning the surroundings in a manner that reminded Zila of Vexari soldiers. This was not an ordinary civilian. This was a warrior. The human female climbed to a ridge opposite from Zila and set up the weapon on the ground. She lay prone behind it, looking through some kind of optical device attached to the top. The human remained motionless for hours. Zila was impressed by such patience. Zila used her armor systems to analyze the human weapon. It seemed simple. A metal tube with various attachments. Her systems classified it as a kinetic energy projectile weapon, low technology, and limited threat to Vexari armor. The assessment made Zila feel secure despite the human warrior's presence. As the sun reached its peak in the sky, Zila noticed birds suddenly taking flight from a section of forest to the east. Something had disturbed them. Perhaps one of her teammates was moving through that area. She made note of it in her report. The human warrior had noticed too. The dark-haired female adjusted her position slightly, turning the weapon toward the disturbance. Zila watched with interest, studying the human's technique. The warrior was disciplined, remaining almost completely still except for tiny adjustments to the weapon. A sharp crack echoed through the valley, startling Zila. The human had fired the weapon. Zila quickly scanned the area where the shot had been directed but saw nothing. Her armor sensors detected a brief energy spike, then nothing. What had the human been shooting at? Minutes passed in silence. Then Zila received an emergency signal from one of her teammates. The signal was weak and cut off almost immediately. Concern grew within her. Something had gone wrong with the mission. The human warrior remained in position, weapon ready. Zila decided she needed more information. She would move to a better vantage point to observe both the human warrior and the area where the emergency signal had come from. Moving slowly to maintain her cloaking field, she began to descend from her rocky position. The human warrior suddenly shifted, adjusting the weapon again. Zila froze, believing the movement had been spotted, but the human was looking elsewhere, scanning the trees methodically. The human showed remarkable awareness for a supposedly primitive species. Zila continued her careful descent, planning to circle through the forest to find her missing teammate. Her training told her to complete the mission, but instinct warned her of danger. Something about this human settlement was not what it seemed, and the warrior watching from the ridge was unlike any human they had studied. Before now, let me create part 2 for you. By midday, Zila had made a decision. She needed to find her missing teammate. She activated her armor cloaking system and began moving carefully. From her position, keeping low among the rocks, her armor would blend with the surroundings, making her virtually invisible to human eyes. She had moved halfway down the ridge when she heard a sharp crack echoing through the valley. The sound was followed by a searing pain in her shoulder. Her armor had been penetrated. Impossible. Vexari battle armor could withstand energy weapons. How could a primitive projectile cause damage? Zila fell behind a large boulder, clutching her wounded shoulder. Blue blood seeped between her fingers. Her mind raced with confusion. How had the human detected her? How had the primitive weapon penetrated her advanced armor? Another crack, another impact. This time the projectile struck the rock beside her head, sending fragments flying. Zila activated her emergency beacon. The mission was compromised. The human warrior had somehow spotted her. Despite the cloaking technology, Zila risked a glance around the boulder. The human had not moved, still lying behind, the weapon on the distant ridge. How was this possible? The distance was extreme, at least 1,000 human meters. No primitive species should be able to target with such accuracy at that range. She needed to reach the ship. The forest was 200 meters away. If she could make it to the trees, she might escape. Zila gathered her strength and prepared to run. She calculated the human would need to adjust aim, requiring precious seconds. Taking a deep breath, Zila sprinted toward the tree line. Her species was naturally faster than humans. She zigzagged, making herself a difficult target. The crack came again. A searing pain exploded in her leg. She stumbled, but kept moving, driven by survival instinct. The forest edge was close now. The human had fired 3 times and hit twice at extreme range while targeting a moving cloaked alien. This was beyond comprehension. Zila realized with horror that the Vexari had severely underestimated this species. She dragged herself into the forest, breathing heavily. The ship was still half a kilometer away. Zila activated her medical system within the armor. Nanobots began repairing the damage to her leg and shoulder. She would survive, but needed to reach the ship. Hours passed as she moved slowly through. The forest darkness fell, but Zila dared not use her lights. The human might be hunting her. Night vision was part of her biology, an advantage over humans. At least she thought it was until she heard soft footsteps behind her. The human had followed her into the forest, somehow tracking her. Despite the darkness and cloaking technology, Zila increased her pace, ignoring the pain. Fear, something she rarely experienced, gripped her. The human was not behaving as expected. This was not a primitive being, but a skilled predator. Zila heard water ahead. A stream, perhaps. She could use it to hide her trail from the human. She remembered from her briefings that humans relied heavily on smell and visible tracks for tracking. Zila changed direction, heading toward the sound of flowing water. The stream was shallow but wide. Zila stepped into the cold water, moving with the current. Her wound throbbed with each step, but the medical nanobots continued their work. The bleeding had stopped, but movement reopened the injury, repeatedly slowing the healing process. She continued downstream for nearly an hour before leaving the water on the opposite bank. The human would have difficulty following now. Zila thought she paused to rest against a tree trunk, checking her armor systems. The damage was significant. Power levels were dropping. The cloaking field flickered occasionally. The forest was quiet. Too quiet, Zila realized. No insects chirping, no animals moving. Something had disturbed the natural rhythm of this place. She scanned her surroundings, seeing nothing, but the feeling of being watched persisted. A twig snapped somewhere to her left. Zila froze. Her hand moved to her sidearm, a compact energy weapon. She had avoided using it, not wanting to reveal more Vexari technology to the humans. But survival now took priority over mission protocol. Zila aimed toward the sound and waited. Her training took over, controlling her breathing, steadying her aim. Minutes passed. Nothing moved. She began to wonder if her mind was playing tricks on her. The stress of injury and pursuit could affect judgment even in Vexari soldiers. A small object arced through the air, landing near her feet. Zila recognized it too late. An explosive device, primitive but effective. The blast knocked her backward, her armor absorbing most of the impact, but the cloaking field failed completely. She was now visible. Zila scrambled to her feet, weapon ready. She fired toward where the device had come from. Blue energy illuminated the forest. The human ducked behind a tree, avoiding the blast. How had this primitive being tracked her so efficiently? The human warrior moved with surprising speed, circling to flank Zila. Zila adjusted her position, keeping trees between herself and the human. She needed to end this confrontation quickly. The ship was still too far away, and her energy reserves were dropping. Another projectile whizzed past her head, striking a tree trunk. The human had drawn the smaller weapon, now firing from behind cover. Zila returned fire, but the human was already moving to a new position. This warrior was well trained, understanding basic combat tactics. Zila decided on a desperate strategy. She would use the remaining power in her armor to boost her speed and strength for one final sprint to the ship. She programmed the armor computer, then took a deep breath, preparing herself. The boost would drain her systems completely, but might give her the edge needed to escape. The human emerged from behind a tree, weapon raised. Zila activated the power boost and charged directly at the surprised warrior. The human fired twice, both shots striking Zila's chest, but momentum carried her forward. She collided with the human, knocking them both to the ground. They tumbled down a short slope, landing in a clearing. Zila recovered first, rising to her feet. The power boost was working, her strength nearly doubled. The human warrior rolled away, coming up in a crouch. The dark-haired female looked directly at Zila without fear. Despite facing an alien, being the human showed remarkable composure. The human spoke words Zila did not understand. Her translation system was damaged in the fall. Without warning, the human attacked, lunging forward with a blade that had appeared from nowhere. Zila dodged, barely avoiding the strike. The human was fast for a primitive species. Zila struck back her enhanced strength, sending the human flying backward. But the warrior rolled with the impact, coming up in a fighting stance. The human was trained in physical combat as well as weapons. This was becoming more dangerous by the moment. The power boost was fading fast. Zila's armor systems flashed warnings. Her enhanced abilities would last only moments more. She needed to end this now. Zila fainted left. Then, struck right, catching the human across the chest. The blow sent the warrior tumbling, but somehow the human maintained grip on the blade. The human warrior rose again, bleeding from a cut on her face, but still combat-ready. Zila had never encountered such determination in any species they had conquered. These humans refused to accept defeat. Even facing superior technology and strength, they continued fighting, as the power boost failed. Zila felt her strength returning to normal. Her advantage was gone. Now she faced a skilled warrior on equal terms. The human seemed to sense the change, advancing, slowly, blade ready. Zila prepared for what might be her final battle. Now for Part 3. Title: I Encountered a Human Sniper. Part 3. The human warrior circled slowly, blade glinting in the moonlight that filtered through the trees. Zila matched the movement, keeping distance between them. Her armor was failing, power systems nearly depleted, the cloaking field was gone, weapon systems offline. Only basic life support remained. The human spoke again, this time slower. Zila caught fragments through her damaged translator. The human was asking questions. Who are you? Why are you here? The warrior wanted information. Zila remained silent. Vexari protocol forbade communication with target species before conquest. The standoff continued, neither willing to attack. First, Zila assessed her options. The ship was still her goal, but the human blocked the most direct path. She could try to outrun the warrior, but her injuries slowed her. The human had demonstrated remarkable tracking ability already. Suddenly, the human lowered the blade slightly and spoke again. The translator caught more words this time. Not here to hurt you. The warrior was attempting communication. This was unexpected. Vexari intelligence had classified humans as aggressive and territorial. Zila decided to risk a response. Her translator could still convert her speech to human language, though imperfectly. I am Scout, she said. Mission peaceful. The lie might buy her time. She needed to reach the ship. The human tilted her head, studying Zila. Then why weapons? The warrior gestured toward Zila's sidearm. Why hide? The human was perceptive, challenging the contradiction. Zila had claimed peace while carrying weapons and using stealth technology, standard procedure. Zila replied, unknown species, unpredictable. She took a small step backward, testing whether the human would allow her to retreat. The warrior noticed but did not advance. Your weapons, she continued. Penetrated armor. How the human smiled, a gesture Zila had learned indicated amusement or satisfaction. Special rounds, the warrior said. Designed for you. The word sent a chill through Zila. These humans knew of the Vexari. They had prepared weapons specifically to counter Vexari armor. This changed everything. How long have you known of us? Zila asked, abandoning pretense. The mission was already. Compromised information gathering was now priority. Years, the human replied. We detected your probes, your observers. We prepared. The warrior took a step forward, causing Zila to tense. The human noticed and stopped. She seems to understand intimidation. Display, Zila thought, another sign of intelligence. The human continued, explaining that Earth governments had united after discovering alien observation. They had kept the knowledge secret from the general population while developing defenses. The warrior called herself Lisa, a human military scout trained to hunt Vexari observers. Your team is captured, Lisa said. Surrender, Zila. No harm. The human offered her hand palm up in what appeared to be a peaceful gesture. Zila did not move. Vexari were not taken prisoner. She would complete her mission or die trying. Zila feigned consideration, then suddenly lunged forward using the last of her strength. She knocked the human backward and sprinted past, heading deeper into the forest. The ship tracker indicated it was now east of her position. She changed course accordingly. The human shouted behind her. Footsteps followed. Lisa was pursuing again. The warrior was persistent. Zila pushed herself harder, ignoring the pain in her leg. The wound had partially reopened, blue blood leaving a trail. She needed to reach the ship before the human caught up. The forest grew denser, trees closer together. Branches scratched at Zila's armor as she ran. Her night vision gave her advantage, allowing her to navigate obstacles the human would struggle to see. She hoped this would slow her pursuer. After running for what seemed like hours, Zila finally saw the clearing ahead. The ship sat where they had left it, its cloaking disabled by the emergency beacon she had activated. She stumbled toward it, relief flooding through her. The mission had failed, but she would escape with valuable information. Zila reached the clearing and stopped. Surrounding the ship were humans, many humans, armed with weapons, all wearing the same uniform as Lisa. These humans had found her team's ship and were waiting. A cracking sound came from behind. Zila turned to see Lisa emerging from the trees. The human held her projectile weapon aimed steadily. "I told you, Zila," the warrior said. "Your team is captured." She gestured toward the ship where Zila now saw her teammates being led out in restraints. "Surrender," Lisa repeated. "No harm will come to you." The human sounded sincere, but Zila had been trained never to trust enemy promises. She calculated her odds of reaching the ship and escaping slim, perhaps impossible. But Vexari did not surrender. Zila made her decision. She activated her sidearms, self-destruct sequence, and threw it toward the humans surrounding the ship. The explosion would not be large, but might create enough confusion for her to reach the ship controls. The autopilot could still be activated. The weapon exploded, creating a flash of blue energy and smoke. The humans scattered, diving for cover. Zila sprinted toward the ship. Her plan might work. Then a sharp pain hit her back. She fell forward, momentum carrying her several more steps before she collapsed. Lisa stood behind her weapon still raised. The human had shot her again. This time the projectile had hit a critical spot. Zila's systems were shutting down. Her vision blurred as she saw the human approach. The warrior knelt beside her, saying something. Zila could no longer understand. Consciousness faded as Zila felt herself being lifted. Her last thought was of failure. Not just her mission, but the Vexari's underestimation of this species. Humans were far more dangerous than they had believed her. Report would never reach the fleet. Zila woke in a bright room. Her armor had been removed. She lay on a flat surface surrounded by human technology. Restraints secured her limbs. She was a prisoner. She had failed the mission but survived. How much time had passed? She did not know. The door opened and Lisa entered. The human looked different now, wearing what appeared to be formal attire, not combat gear. She carried a small device which she set on a surface near Zila. "You understand me?" the human asked. A translation appeared on the device screen. Zila nodded, though the movement caused pain. Her wounds had been treated but not completely healed. "You will live," Lisa said. "The damage was extensive, but our medical team adapted quickly." The human seemed proud of this achievement, as though treating an alien was a significant accomplishment. "Why am I alive?" Zila asked. "Prisoners have no value to Vexari." The statement was true. Her people did not negotiate for captured soldiers. They were considered lost. "You have value to us," Lisa replied. "Information exchange." She gestured to the room. "We want to learn about you, your people, your intentions." The human leaned closer. "Your people are planning invasion." Yes, Zila remained silent. Vexari protocol was clear. No communication with target species. But she had already violated that by speaking earlier, and the humans clearly knew much already. Her silence now seemed pointless. "Yes," Zila finally said. "The Vexari plan conquest. Your world is target." The truth felt strangely liberating after the deception. Lisa nodded as if confirming a suspicion. "Then you should know," she said. "Your ship sent no signal. We blocked transmissions. Your fleet will receive nothing." The human looked directly at Zila's eyes. "We have been preparing for your kind for years." Now for part 4. Days passed in the human facility. Zila learned more about her captors than she had expected to reveal about herself. The humans were clever, their questions designed to extract information while seeming casual. They studied her biology, her technology, her responses. Lisa visited often. sometimes asking questions, sometimes simply observing. Zila began to understand this human was a specialist in alien psychology. Though humans had never encountered aliens before her team, Lisa explained they had developed theories based on human differences preparing for eventual contact. Zila discovered the humans had known about Vexari observation for years. They detected anomalies, unexplained readings, unusual phenomena. Gradually, they pieced together evidence of alien presence. They kept this knowledge secret even from their own population. Why? Zila asked during one session. Why hide truth from your people? Lisa explained that human history showed panic when facing unknown threats. Religious extremism, conspiracy theories, mass hysteria. World leaders decided to prepare quietly, developing weapons and defenses while maintaining normal society. Humans are complex, Lisa said. Some would welcome you. Others fear you. Some worship. Some hate. She shrugged, a gesture Zila had learned indicated resignation or acceptance. We decided preparation was better than chaos. Zila found herself respecting these humans. Their foresight, their strategic thinking, their adaptation to threat. These were qualities valued among Vexari. Yet humans remained primitive in many ways. Their technology was basic, their societal structures inefficient. Their potential, however, was becoming clear. Weeks passed. Zila was moved to a different facility. Her wounds healed completely. The humans studied her, asking endless questions about Vexari, society, technology, biology. She answered selectively, revealing nothing that would endanger her people, but enough to maintain cooperation. The human leaders debated her fate. Some wanted to use her as hostage. Others as research subject. Lisa argued for a different approach. The warrior had a plan, one that intrigued Zila when it was finally revealed. Send her back, Lisa proposed during a meeting. Zila attended. Let her return with warning. Zila watched the other humans' reactions. Surprise, disbelief, suspicion. Lisa continued explaining her reasoning. The Vexari would eventually notice their missing team. They would send others. Perhaps immediate attack. Returning Zila with evidence of human capabilities might delay or prevent invasion. Give Earth more time to prepare. The debate was lengthy, heated. Zila observed human group dynamics. Leadership was not absolute, as in Vexari culture. Opinions were shared freely, sometimes with strong emotion. Eventually, they reached consensus. Lisa would escort Zila to her repaired ship with a message for the Vexari fleet. Before departure, Lisa met with Zila privately. The humans seemed different, more formal yet also more open. Why are you doing this? Zila asked. The logical choice is to kill me, prevent information. Return. Lisa smiled, the expression now familiar to Zila. Logical, perhaps, the human said, not necessarily wise. She explained that humans had fought each other for centuries, learning that destroying enemies often created more enemies. Diplomacy, deterrence, communication, these had proven more effective long-term strategies. We want your people to know, Lisa continued. We are not helpless, not primitive, not easy conquest. She handed Zila a small device. This contains evidence, recordings, data analysis, proof of human defense capability. But also, Lisa added, invitation, communication instead of war. The human looked directly at Zila. The choice will be yours. You will decide what to tell your leaders. Zila did not understand. Why trust enemy with such decision? The concept conflicted with everything she knew of warfare. Lisa seemed to anticipate her confusion. Because she said, you have seen us. Now you know what we are capable of. You witnessed firsthand. The human paused, her expression intense. I could have killed you easily in forest. Chose capture instead. Show your leaders that choice. The day of departure arrived. Zila's ship had been repaired, modified to carry the human data device. She boarded alone, Lisa watching from distance. The other humans stood, further back, weapons ready. The trust had limits, Zila noted as ship systems activated. Zila made decision. She would deliver the message accurately. The humans were right. Vexari strategy required complete information. These humans were different from other conquered species. their potential for resistance significant. Their unusual approach to enemy captives suggested complex thinking, worthy of further study. The ship rose silently into atmosphere. Lisa raised hand in gesture. Zila had learned meant farewell or good journey. The human had been both captor and teacher, enemy and guide. The contradiction fascinated Zila. Space flight gave time for reflection. Zila reviewed the human data. Evidence of defensive capabilities was impressive. The projectile, weapons that had penetrated her armor, were early prototypes. Since her capture, humans had developed more advanced versions. Analysis suggested they would be effective against even Vexari warships. More surprising was the diplomatic proposal. The humans offered knowledge exchange, cultural sharing, limited visitation instead of war. The concept was foreign to Vexari conquest doctrine, yet strangely compelling. The efficiency of cooperation versus resource expenditure of conflict. The proposal included mathematical models demonstrating mutual benefit. The Vexari fleet appeared on scanners, massive ships positioned beyond lunar orbit. They had been waiting for reconnaissance team. Zila transmitted identification codes and approach vector. Her ship was directed to Central Command Vessel, where High Commander Nex would receive her report landing in docking bay. Zila saw security teams waiting her arrival. Her status was compromised. Her extended absence unexplained. She would face interrogation, perhaps punishment, but she carried information vital to Vexari strategy. High Commander Nex was imposing figure even among Vexari. His height greater, his skin darker, indicating age and status. He reviewed Zila, directly bypassing normal command chain. The missing reconnaissance team had delayed invasion plans. The High Commander wanted answers immediately. Zila reported facts only. Her team discovered monitoring, capture, pursuit, injury, her own capture, human questioning, release. The events without embellishment or interpretation. Security officers recorded every word for analysis. When finished, Nex studied her silently, then asked the critical question. These humans released you. Why? Zila presented the data device explaining its contents. The humans messaged their evidence, their proposal. The High Commander received it with skepticism, ordering immediate analysis by Vexari scientists. Before dismissing Zila, he asked final question. Your assessment, Lieutenant. What threat level do these humans present? Zila considered carefully. Her response would influence Vexari strategy. The lives of her people and humans hung in balance. She thought of Lisa, the warrior who could have killed but chose capture. The humans who treated enemy wounds, studied enemy biology, returned enemy soldier with message extreme threat. Zila answered finally. These humans are unlike any species we have encountered. Their technology is primitive but advancing rapidly. Their adaptability, innovation, determination, these qualities make them dangerous. But also, she added, surprising herself, potential allies. Their proposal deserves consideration. Resource expenditure for conquest would be significant. Cooperation might yield greater benefits with minimal risk. The High Commander dismissed her with no indication of his thoughts. Zila returned to quarters awaiting further orders. Days passed as Vexari Command analyzed human data and her report. She expected punishment for suggesting alliance with target species. Such deviation from doctrine was rarely tolerated. Instead, she received promotion, commander rank. With new assignment, Zila would lead diplomatic team to human world. The High Command had reviewed evidence and reached unexpected conclusion. The humans presented both significant threat and opportunity. The Vexari would attempt communication before conquest. 20 cycles later, Commander Zila prepared for return to Earth. The diplomatic mission had evolved into ongoing exchange. Humans had joined galactic community on limited basis, their innovation accelerating with access to alien knowledge, their defensive capabilities growing alongside diplomatic relations. Lisa had become counterpart in ongoing negotiations. The human warrior, now diplomat, still carried herself with same alertness, same readiness, but also with openness to possibility of peace. The contradiction that defined humanity. Finally, Part 5, Now 20 cycles later, Zila was a commander returning to the same planet the High Command had never launched their invasion after. Her report and the evidence she brought back. The projectiles that had struck her were simple in design but devastating. Their effectiveness against Vexari armor had shocked the military scientists. The humans called them bullets, and the warriors, who used them at impossible distances, were snipers. Zila had learned everything about them since her encounter. The woman who had shot her was named Lisa Kelly, a human soldier trained in a special skill known only to that species. The Vexari had changed their approach. Instead of invasion, they had decided on first contact, peaceful interaction. The galaxy was vast, but Zila had never encountered any species like humans. Their combination of primitive technology with exceptional skill made them unique and dangerous. As her ship prepared to enter Earth's atmosphere, Zila touched the scars on her shoulder and leg. Reminders of the day, she learned that advanced technology did not guarantee victory. Sometimes the most primitive weapon in skilled hands could defeat the most sophisticated defenses. The diplomatic vessel was larger than her old scout ship designed for official visits, not stealth. Accompanying her were scientists, cultural experts, military observers. The mission had multiple objectives. Establish formal relations, assess human development, monitor potential threats. Zila had been chosen to lead because of her experience with humans, particularly her connection with Lisa Kelly. The human had become an important figure in Earth, government representing human interests in alien matters. Their unusual relationship, prisoner and captor turned diplomatic counterparts, had become symbol of potential for understanding between different species. Landing coordinates directed them to a facility in the region humans called North America, not far from where Zila had been captured years before. The symbolism was intentional. Lisa had arranged it. Humans placed great importance on such gestures. The ship settled onto landing pad. Human delegation waited below. Zila recognized Lisa immediately, though the human had aged. Her hair now contained strands of gray. Her face showed lines that hadn't been there before. Human lifespans were shorter than Vexari. Another difference between their species. Zila disembarked first following protocol. The commander always led physical diplomatic contact. She approached the human delegation. Lisa stepped forward, extending hand in traditional human greeting. Zila had learned the custom taking the human's hand briefly. "Welcome back," Commander Lisa said, her voice familiar despite the years. The human smiled, adding, "You look exactly the same." Humans often commented on Vexari longevity with mixture of fascination and envy. The formal greetings completed, Lisa led them toward facility. The humans had constructed impressive diplomatic center, combining their architectural styles with accommodations for alien physiology. Zila noted defensive systems hidden within design. The humans remained cautious despite years of peaceful exchange. During official meeting, Lisa presented status reports on human technological development, space exploration, defense capabilities. The humans had advanced significantly since first contact. Their ships now traveled to nearby star systems. Their weapons could challenge most galactic powers. Their sciences, particularly medicine and biology, showed remarkable innovation. Later, Lisa and Zila met privately, continuing tradition established years before. Their official discussions always followed by personal conversation. The practice had begun during Zila's captivity, continuing through diplomatic channels, becoming valuable method for honest exchange beyond formal positions. "You never expected this outcome," Lisa commented, gesturing toward window where human and Vexari personnel interacted in garden. "That day in forest when you ran and I shot you." She smiled at memory that might seem strange to others, but represented turning point for both. Zila acknowledged, "Truth, I expected death or escape, never cooperation." The concept had been foreign to Vexari doctrine then, though she never admitted to Lisa. Zila's report had created division within Vexari leadership. Some still advocated conquest, others, including Zila, argued for continued peaceful exchange. Both sides monitored human development with different purposes. Lisa revealed that humans remained similarly divided. Some human factions feared alien presence prepared for possible conflict. Others embraced. Galactic community, seeking advancement through cooperation. The tension created balance, each side restraining extremes of other. Their conversation shifted to specific concern. Recent human expansion had encroached on territory claimed by another species. The Mektari insectoid beings highly territorial. The situation created potential for conflict. Zila had been instructed to address matter directly. The humans claim mining rights. Lisa explained, resources essential to new propulsion technology. She described diplomatic efforts to negotiate with Mektari. The attempts unsuccessful. The insectoids rejected communication, responding with threats. Zila shared information. Vexari intelligence indicated Mektari military movements. Their history suggested preemptive strike likely. Their biology made them difficult opponents even for Vexari. Their exoskeletons resistant to energy weapons. Their hive mentality fearless in combat. Lisa received news without visible concern. The human reaction puzzled Zila. The threat was significant. Yet Lisa showed confidence, not fear. We anticipated this, she said. The Mektari behavior fits established patterns. The human activated display showing tactical analysis. Zila studied information impressed by human strategic assessment. The humans had developed defense systems specifically for Mektari biology, much as they had once created special bullets for Vexari armor. We learned from you. Lisa explained, watching Zila's reaction. Study, adapt, prepare. She smiled expression. Zila had come to recognize as satisfaction. The human continued. Our analysts studied everything. Every species you introduced us to. Every technology. Every biological profile. Zila understood implication. The humans had been preparing for all potential threats, not just Vexari. Their peaceful cooperation masking constant readiness for conflict. Their diplomatic initiatives paralleled by military development. The contradiction that had first fascinated her about Lisa extended to entire species. Do your people know, Zila asked, how much Vexari High Command watches? How much we prepare? Also, Lisa laughed. Sound Zila had learned indicated amusement without malice. Of course, she said, we count on it. The human leaned forward. Expression serious. We want you watching? Always assessing. Always knowing exactly what we're capable of. She paused. The best deterrent is enemy, who knows your strength. The strategy was elegant, Zila acknowledged. Maintain peace through mutual awareness of capability. Demonstrate willingness for cooperation while ensuring potential enemies recognize threat. The approach different from Vexari doctrine of overwhelming force, yet perhaps more efficient. Their discussion continued into night, covering multiple topics from scientific exchange to cultural understanding. The relationship between Lisa and Zila had become microcosm of larger interaction between their species. Initially, cautious, now complex mixture of cooperation, competition, respect, wariness, before departing. Lisa presented gift. Small metal object Zila recognized immediately. The projectile that had struck her shoulder 20 cycles ago, preserved somehow. The human explained significance. Symbol of first contact. Reminder of how different paths might have been chosen. Zila accepted, understanding human sentiment for such objects. The bullet represented moment when everything changed for both species, the beginning of new approach for Vexari. The entry of humans into galactic community. The object that had nearly ended her life, now symbol of connection. Returning to her ship that evening, Zila reflected on long journey from scout lieutenant to diplomatic commander. The mission that failed became foundation for unexpected success. The human sniper who shot her became ally of sorts. The enemy that might have been conquered instead became partner in uneasy peace.